Hi, this is the Durham Jazz Workshop, Meet the Artist interview. Okay, here we are with Helen Gillet, who is Belgian born, but Belgian American, and from the French speaking part of Belgium. Now, I'm not sure how many people know the difference, but they're going to have to go back and look up the word Walloon. That's
Yes.
it. So greetings, you're going to be playing at Sharp 9 on the 9th of September. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, 999. It's easy to remember.
That's true, 9920. It's great. And so we want to know, speaking for Sharp 9 fans, what you feel we need to know about you before you get here.
Well, I'm a cello player, as you can see by what I'm holding in my hands. I was classically trained, but I got interested in jazz when I was 19 because I took lessons with an Indian classical cello player. And she taught me how to improvise for the first time. And that got me hooked on improvising generally. And so then I started thinking, well, I got to go hear some people improvise. And I was living in Wisconsin, but a close drive to Chicago.
Excellent.
I went to Fred Anderson's Velvet Lounge at 89 and a half South Indiana Street near Chinatown. I remember it was the first half address I'd ever come by in my life. And it was also the first jazz club and the first giant city rat that I'd seen. And I got in. I was underage, but I got in. I was 19, and I was blown away. Sunday night was an open jam session, and this sitar player sat down and played with the group. And I thought, if a sitar player can come play, then maybe a cello player can too, because I'd been studying Indian music on the cello. So it was a weird way to come into it, but then I discovered all the cello players in the world of jazz that were indeed there. I just had never heard of them because it was still slightly unusual back then, and maybe even now for some folks, but there are so many cello players that have come through the world of jazz. And I have a picture of Kid Jordan up here on the wall. You can't really see it. It's a line drawing, so it's pretty faint for viewers, but Kid Jordan is one of our avant-garde jazz saxophone heroes from New Orleans, and had the pleasure of playing with him a few months ago. But he, like many of us who moved to New Orleans, didn't necessarily want to play trad jazz, but wanted to do some more experimental improvising. So when I moved here, 19 years ago, I decided to come here because it was an open jazz community. Chicago was a little intimidating for me at the time.
Yeah.
As a young up-and-coming, very green improviser. I moved to New Orleans, people opened their arms, and I soon talked my way into a lot of different bands. I played not just jazz, but I played a lot of funk and a lot of Southern rock and a lot of a tango band and trad bands. Actually, I started playing in some of those as well, and doing lots of recording sessions, rock. New Orleans is a melting pot of music. So
all on your cello?
Yes. And then I was looking for, bands, and they were like, well, what are we going to do with you? And I was like, well, give me the violin part. My first weekly gig was a tango band, and I took the violin chart down 2 octaves, which was a good exercise in transposition. But then I also, for jazz bands, I was like, well, give me the trombone chart. It's in the right clef, and it's the right register. And so I would play that. I also learned to play tenor saxophone parts, and then I also talked my way into, once I got more comfortable with chords, I could read like guitar or piano charts with chords, block chords.
That's amazing. That's amazing to listen to. Just, you go down to New Orleans, the home of trad jazz, and you mentioned an avant-garde sax player in New Orleans, which is almost a contradiction in terms, according to certain people. And here you have, you've fallen into everything.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you can read and improvise, that combo is very useful. You know, any young musician out there, it's such a great combo because you can, if a singer-songwriter comes at you with a part, with a song, and they don't know how to write music, which happens a lot, you just have to use your ears and come up with a part that feels good. That's a skill that's valuable. But then there's also, if you don't have much time, you're in the studio or you're at a club and you want a gig and you can read, then as long as you can play the melody, and that was my case. I was much better at reading than I was at improvising at first. So I would read the parts, and then when it was time to improvise, I would just take the melody and then take it a little left or right field based on my knowledge of Indian classical ragas, and I had only studied two. And then I was listening to a lot of avant-garde cello players because I think the cello has. Abdul Wadud was my introduction to jazz cello, and he was really funky in his playing. With Julius Hemphill, he had a really heavy, funky kind of style, which worked well for influencing me to play with New Orleans bands. The bands here really taught me how to improvise and play. Yeah. I played with a bass player, James Singleton, who really taught me how to play bass lines. And then, the list is wide of my teachers here in New Orleans, but that was one of my first jazz bands, was with James Singleton. And I learned a lot from bass, learned a lot from playing with drummers. And I was drowned out also. I'm a cello player and I'm playing with horns and trombones and saxes and drums and bass, and we're in New Orleans, so the meters set the meter really high for volume on stage. So that was an art form, just amplifying the cello in itself. But I played with a lot of loud bands, and I which was kind of good because I was kind of bad at improvising at first. So wasn't so bad to get covered up. But then I got frustrated, and then I learned how to turn up. And I think hopefully the learning how to turn up coincided with my skill level. So
we do have a cello player here in North Carolina named Shauna Tucker.
Oh, I've heard about her. I haven't heard her though. I would love to check out her stuff.
Well, what I'll do is I'll let Shauna know that we did this interview, you're coming to town, and then I'll give her the link to the interview.
Great. So, hi, Shauna.
Yeah.
Hi, Shauna.
Yeah. Also, there are two musicians here in North Carolina that have a New Orleans connection. That's Ernest Turner, the pianist, but he got driven out by Katrina. And then Ryan Hansler, until recently, well, actually, I think he's still spending time in New Orleans, but he's allegedly spending 2/3 of his time teaching up here at East Carolina.
Okay.
But he's, I know he played in Raleigh last Saturday night, but we've got some connections between there and here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I was lucky enough to meet Peter Lamb in June and play with him. And he's going to be sitting in with me, and I'm very excited to have, to build that friendship and connection. It was a nice encounter. So that was.
So it'll be just Peter?
I think at Sharp 9, I believe he's sitting in at Sharp 9, and then we're going to do a gig 2 days later with the full trio, but
with more
sets. Yeah, and then I think, at the Bond Brothers East Side.
Yes, nice little venue.
Good.
Not as nice as Sharp 9, but that's another story.
Of course not. We're doing a Sharp 9 interview.
So then, I guess people are wondering, okay, what does she play? So do you want to play something, let's see, the fancy word would be representative. Play something that tells folks how you do it.
I'm sure you're wondering what the result of all that mess was. And basically, after being a sideman for a long time in all these bands, I started developing my own music. And after Katrina, I taught myself to sing and play French chansons.
Oh, wow.
Because I have them in my ear. I mean, I
Yeah.
have a lot in my ear from growing up, a lot of classical music, of course. I spent hours and hours. I got a master's degree in classical performance, so a
Hmm.
lot of classical music in my head. But I also have, I'm a Prince fan, and I play, in the Indian music, like I mentioned, and then I got into jazz, a lot of Ornette Coleman, a lot of Miles Davis, a lot of Don Cherry,
Mhm.
um, and Mingus, the piccolo bass, he calls the cello. So, I'm very interested in what the cello can do, and taking all those things and kind of smushing them together has resulted in a solo show where I get to surf from doing a French chanson into a Sun Ra tune, into my own compositions, and my compositions are sung in French and English, and some of them are more instrumental. So this one's kind of in the middle. I'm using a loop pedal here at my feet. You can't
Yeah.
see it. It's an RC50 loop station, and that has allowed me a lot of flexibility in performance and this solo performance. I'm very aware that the loop pedal can be quite annoying as well. It can be very robotic, and if it's not done, fluidly, it's a
Yeah.
little predictable. But I've tried to assimilate it in like a drummer might assimilate their bass drum, pedal, so
Yeah.
that my foot is just doing its job. I joke with my friends that my foot needs its own Instagram page because it's just got it's got a, it's kind of a star in its own right. I don't even know what it's doing anymore. So I don't know what it says about me that I'm dissociating my foot from the rest of me. But anyway,
Maybe you're gonna end up as a drummer. I don't know.
well, I am a moderately talented drummer. I can keep a good beat. I love playing drums, and as you can maybe see here, I've got some handprints on my cello where I have
Yes.
actually drummed a lot on my cello.
I watched the YouTube this morning
Ah,
from one of your at home from home gigs last year. And yeah, you were using that as a percussion instrument as well.
oh yeah, yeah. It kind of sounds like a strange bongo, as you'll hear. And this next song starts out with some cello drumming. So here we go.
Go for it.
Que sont mes amis devenus que j'avais si bien connus? Où sont mes amis? Sont mes amis devenus que j'avais si bien connus? Où sont mes amis? Que sont mes amis devenus que j'avais si bien connus? Où sont mes amis? Que sont mes amis devenus que j'avais si bien connus? Où sont mes amis? Que sont mes amis devenus que j'avais si bien connus? Où sont mes amis? Que sont mes amis devenus que j'avais si bien connus? Où sont mes amis? Que sont mes amis devenus que j'avais si bien connus? Où sont mes amis? Que sont mes amis devenus que j'avais si bien connus? Où sont mes amis? Que sont mes amis devenus que j'avais si bien connus? Où sont mes amis? Que sont mes amis devenus que j'avais si bien connus? Où sont mes amis? Que sont mes amis devenus que j'avais si bien connus? Où sont mes amis? Que sont mes amis devenus que j'avais si bien connus? Où sont
Wow.
That was a little
Just,
improv.
just think of the many physical skills you've developed when, I was thinking about one-man bands, right? In the
Mhm.
past, and they'd have things attached to them. Now it's you need electricity. And
Yeah,
I know you got all the pedals and this and that, and
right.
I remember seeing Kishibashi and
Oh,
asking
yeah.
if he ever made mistakes, and he said, of course, but it was hard to tell. But it stuns me how I'm stunned enough by musicians, but
Mm.
to see how you managed that and made it work just is incredible,
Thank you.
and make it sound good.
I love Kishibashi. He's so wonderful. Thank you for mentioning his name and mine in the same paragraph. But yeah, I have developed some freak skills. Like I said, my foot is a very interesting entity here because I used to think about it a lot, and then
Yeah,
now it's just I really can spend a whole show and I'm not at all aware. That's why I want to videotape it so I can go back and look because I sometimes, what is it doing? And I know later I need to, stretch my foot out a little bit because it gets, it's like, oh yeah, it's been working, but
so is it only your one foot?
yeah, it's only the right foot.
Yeah, you're
This
gonna
is,
have to work on becoming ambidextrous
yeah.
or
Well, it's
whatever.
hard to reach it for the other one. The other one's just on vacation, is just hanging out.
Well,
Um,
yeah, you don't want to hurt yourself,
Yeah.
but
Well, yeah. I mean, and part of being a musician and getting older and wanting to make a lifetime of
mhm,
performing is to take care of your body and your mind and your spirit and all of it. So I think there's, especially nowadays with our current state of affairs, there's been a lot of really wonderful exchange and talk about that kind of thing in the music community, especially of everybody, kind of keeping your body together to keep doing what you do.
sure, sure. Well, and the music itself, it was, I guess when I listened to the YouTube this morning, watched the YouTube and was listening to the rhythm of it, it didn't register, the Indian rhythm didn't register with me where it did here.
Ah.
I personally like Indian classical music, and the the um the improvising singing that's done that can go with the classical music is just incredible. But here we have French lyrics with this at least partly Indian rhythm. It's good. It's that. And as far as I know, I don't know anybody else that does that.
Oh, well, thank you very much. We also don't know what to call it, which makes it difficult to market sometimes, but
Yes.
whatever it is, it's what I'm going to present at Sharp 9 and come see it live and maybe you can name it. And
We could have a contest of some sort.
I would love that. Yeah, my fans are everything to me. I realize, people write comments after shows, and that's really the pure essence of being a performer. It's just
Yeah.
I know what's going into well, for as much as I'm conscious of it, I know what's going into me to put the music out,
Yeah.
and then but getting feedback from the audience is so important, which is why a lot of musicians have suffered when they couldn't play in front of a live audience. It's just a lot of it is getting the feedback and knowing you know
Yeah.
I don't think we're tailoring everything to, I mean, the different artists are different on this one, but you don't always tailor for the audience, but there is energy exchange there, and it's very, very important. Even if you're doing the same songs the same way every night, you're still feeding off that energy.
Yeah.
And I don't, which also makes me difficult to market because I'm an improviser. So my songs
She
are
gonna
different
play
night.
tonight, whatever she decides.
Exactly. Although I do, I have similar songs in my repertoire. They just get performed a little bit differently.
Yeah.
So
So, well, you've got Peter Lamb playing with you.
yes.
Um, and I'm not sure he would be playing on everything that you'd
No,
doing. He'd be
I
doing.
think he'll be a special guest. I'll get him up for 2 or 3 songs, and we'll see how the night unfolds. but I'm excited for, I mean, maybe more than that. We'll see. We're gonna aim for maybe 3.
Yeah,
When we played together in Fayetteville, we played a beautiful movie house, a movie art house called the
yeah,
Art House. We ended up doing one French chanson, and his band played all together. And
right,
I really liked the vibe. It was more trad jazz, and I like
yeah,
having like a lens put on my music that makes it into more of a recognizable genre,
yeah.
and then taking that genre and shifting it with my special guests. And he's excited about that too, just seeing
Good.
where it can go. And
Yeah, because I know it's a different kind of thing for him too,
yeah,
knowing kind of thing that he usually does, which
yep,
he does really, really well, but it's not exactly what you do.
right. And
Lurking
there,
in the background here is a YouTube of that performance that we could play a bit of
yes, that'd be
to
great.
show peeps um, what that might be. So let me get down to share screen, see if it still works. Oh my God, it's still there. Isn't
Yay.
that something? Here we go.
Ah, pourquoi j'allais danser à Saint-Jean, vos musettes? Mais il m'a suffi d'un seul baiser pour que mon cœur soit prisonnier. Comment ne pas perdre la tête, serrée par ses bras audacieux? Car l'on croit toujours au doux mot d'amour quand ils sont dits avec les yeux, les beaux yeux. Et moi, qui l'aimais tant, je le trouvais le plus beau de Saint-Jean. Je restais grisée, sans volonté, sous ses yeux. Sans plus réfléchir, je lui donnai le meilleur de mon être. Beau parleur, chaque fois qu'il mentit, je le savais, mais je l'aimais. Comment ne pas perdre la tête, serrée par ses bras audacieux? Car l'on croit toujours à un mot d'amour quand ils sont dits avec les beaux yeux. Et moi qui l'aimais tant, mon bel amour, mon amant de Saint-Jean, je restais grisée sans volonté sous ses baisers molles.
There we go.
That gives people a sense of what they're hiding in the background, aren't they?
They are. You
I
can
forgot to
cut
stop
my
this.
solo. Yay.
Oh, that means we got to get your solo in there.
No, 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 don't worry about it.
Okay.
We don't have to listen to my solo. There I am.
Oh, I see what's going on. I'm gradually coming back to you.
There we go.
I got lost.
We're back. Oh,
No, that's actually, we've got that in the background.
yeah, it's fine. We let it roll out.
Let it roll.
So
Let it
yeah,
roll. It may keep going back over and over again, but
let the good times roll.
Oh, of course. Gotta throw that, New Orleans, gotta put the New Orleans.
Laissez les bon temps rouler.
I was thinking of you as a Zydeco cellist too.
I love that. I love it. It's all in there. It's all in there. I played with Bruce Sunpie Barnes, washboard player, accordion player, skeleton crew member. He's got the big top hat with all the skeleton. I've been here long enough and played with a lot of people that it's all floating around in my performance.
Excuse me. I think it is time.
This is the third and final verse. This is a very passionate song about falling in love with an accordion player.
I learned something about YouTube or not every time I do this. But
we're almost over. This is the big passionate carousel finale.
Maybe it's over now. Sorry to disturb this.
It was amazing. The theatrics, the piano player. I love French music because it's so theatrical. It's much like opera, and there's an overlap with trad jazz. There's a storytelling aspect. And there's a lot of material there. There's a lot of meat. You can take it into the into the operatic flair and add all these different colors to it and textures. But it's very jazzy, and I find I can play, and I like adapting these songs to whoever I'm playing with. Sometimes I work with funk musicians, and I get a lot more funky with it, or sometimes I'm playing with people with more of a Latin jazz background, and you try to, and I take it as an opportunity to learn something and to see where the song can fit and how it can go, and it's a beautiful thing. It's like just traveling. I grew up traveling, so for me, it's natural to travel into these different styles of music. So.
Yeah, and you're in the right place for it because you're in one of the most musically diverse places in the world.
Absolutely.
So I can't. I mean, big cities, yes, but not in the same way,
right,
as New Orleans, where you should be able to meet more people because it isn't that big a place.
Well, yes, that's true. And a lot of people come here, so you meet a lot of people by being sort of the hostess or the host of your city. You're playing in a band and you're at a club where people are passing through, and then they meet you and they live in Iowa and get you up there, or in New York, or I was blessed to build a whole tour in Europe based off of just the people that were coming to New Orleans to hear me play, and or New Zealand, or I got Australia. I've gotten to travel because people like to come to New Orleans, so it's been a good thing for me.
Dang, you're a lucky person.
Yeah, very lucky.
And you're lucky enough to be coming to Sharp 9 on Thursday, the 9th of September.
Yes.
Looking forward to that. It's a good place, lovely place to play.
I cannot wait. I can't wait to come, and I look forward to meeting more North Carolina musicians too. I hope if you're listening, I hope you come to the show and say hi. And even if you're not a musician, come say hi.
Yeah.
And thank you for this beautiful interview. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. And what we'll do is we will post this on the Sharp 9 YouTube before the gig, and a number of people will get to see it. So,
That's wonderful. Thank you.
and thank you for your time. I really appreciate this. And this, I get off on these interviews too, but just listening to somebody like you with this eclectic set of interests, because I like a lot of different kinds of music, and to hear you play them, it's and mix them.
Yeah.
It's lots and lots of fun. So I look forward to seeing you soon.
Excellent. It's a date.
It is. Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.